So here I am at the incredible Wild West Mustang Ranch. And next, I had a very beautiful conversation with Cammie. And she's the other half of the relationship formula. If you know her, she's the magic behind Wild West Mustang Ranch and Wild West everything. She's one of my dearest friends. I even consider her family. So I had a conversation with her about the relationship formula and what it's taught both of us and how it's transformed even our friendship and our relationship and our marriages and what it's been like to quarantine together, to be together for 3 years, learning, growing, changing, becoming, questioning ourselves, answering ourselves, deciding what stories we're going to tell ourselves and what stories we're going to get rid of. So this is me and Cammie Taylor of the Relationship Formula. I think you're going to love it. What are a couple of ways you've seen and felt changes in yourself?
Gosh, so many changes. Well, I used to be really angry. I could get angry really quickly. But now I just choose to pause. I hope you guys have already talked about the pause button.
Yeah, we have.
Because we've learned that, if you feel like you're getting angry, then I get to pause and just, why am I angry? What's happening right now? And I would just realize that those were triggers from something that was happening. And then I would just get to change the story.
And then after?
So then I just take a few minutes. The pause usually means I leave the room or I go outside for a minute. It doesn't take that long. We used to think, go to bed and wake up in the morning and then talk about it and you'll feel better. But it is a long time because you don't get any sleep. And so we'll just, separate, take a little pause, and then come back and be like, you can talk a lot better. I can talk a lot better when I take a break and come back and go, okay, I was starting to feel like this. So there's just so much about communication, especially men and women, we just think so differently. So many times I'll say something and he'll repeat it back to me and I'll be like, that is not what I meant. And vice versa. So pausing and then asking questions like, what did you mean by that?
So what does it feel like to, because I bet, a lot of the people I've worked with who use anger as a protective mechanism, I bet you have some new realizations that it might feel different to use different tools than anger. How has it changed to not use anger? Does it feel better?
Oh, for sure. It feels better. Having anger is kind of like, eating that piece of chocolate cake that you're like, I know I shouldn't have that. It's late at night or whatever. And I'm trying to stay away from sugar at my age, because it just packs on. So I eat the cake and then I'm all guilty later about eating the cake. So when I get angry, I say stuff that I don't mean, especially if it's a trigger based on something traumatic that happened. Then I just get to feel the guilt and shame of that. And so if I can pause for a minute and be like, what happens if I say this right now? It's going to affect him in this way, and then later I'm going to feel this way. And so
it's going to take a long time to unwind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's so interesting because I have actually had to learn the opposite thing, how to let myself be angry. Mm-hmm. Because I go to another place. I go to a place of, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I have to pause and go, wait a second. Is this okay? So it's interesting because I just had different defense mechanisms. It was like doing whatever everybody else wanted and letting everybody suck me dry. And I always wished I could get angry. But I think both things were just protective mechanisms. And do you feel like that's what it was? Is just you were just protecting yourself with the anger?
For sure. And I believe that that's just how I was raised too. Just to quickly go to anger. It was a old neural network, an old way of being. But I have done things like scream into the pillow, scream underwater. I've done a lot of different
things that don't hurt someone
retreats,
else.
To get the anger out, because it is good to let the anger out.
Sure.
If it's in there, you don't want to stuff it down, and but you also don't want to take it out on your partner or your relationships either, or even myself.
Have you identified what story you were telling yourself before that you had to change?
As far as the anger goes? Just that I was raised with, people who yelled or got angry quickly, my grandpa, and other family members, and so
that's just what I do.
What I do, yeah. When I was a young mom, I was a real yeller. But there was a point in my marriage, my husband's like, that doesn't work for you to yell at my kids like that. And I'm like, it doesn't work for me to yell at my kids like that either. They don't
Yeah.
deserve that. And I didn't like it so, that didn't last very long.
So then you can, like, tell yourself a new story of, even though I
grew up in a house of people who were angry or yellers, or, that's how it kind of was in school even.
Yeah.
Back then. And so,
So you tell yourself a new story of what?
Yep. Of that I can get my way, or like present myself with love rather than anger. And
And still
I get
be
better
respected.
results.
Still be respected, or still be protected, and all that kind of stuff.
And not have to go through all of the stuff that comes along with being an angry human.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I actually have witnessed you. I haven't seen you angry a lot, but I have seen you become so much more calm and centered, like in such a beautiful way that's just like, just beautiful. It's a blessing to be around you. You know what I mean? So I've watched this happen with you, just going, whatever she's doing, she's so at peace. Do you feel more at peace?
Oh, for sure. And the anger and stuff that I used to feel, or that would come out just spur of the moment, would be because of where I was neurochemically.
Yeah.
Like if I was just nervous and all jacked up on cortisol and adrenaline, then it's quicker to react. And
that was the way it got
I didn't even think about it. It just happened. And then I'd be like, oh.
Kind of like you said with the chocolate. Because that's what I do. Just like all of a sudden I find myself eating like all this stuff that I didn't even know I wanted.
Right.
And then you feel horrible after.
For sure.
And it's just happening like subconsciously.
Yeah. So now I'm doing different things like meditation and drumming, yoga, so many things to reset the neurochemicals in my body. Instead of just running around busy all the time, you can just get yourself really, really, really out of balance with the chemicals.
So it's not just about the
bodies.
story you tell yourself, it's about planning your life in such a way that you don't get full of all the chemicals that help you feel angry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And what we do now is we pre-tell stories.
Okay,
like
tell me about that.
We're going to go do this thing, or whatever it is. We're going to go to an event, and we want it to be like a positive experience, and we want to have fun. And so we're like, we want to be outward focused. We want to talk to other people. We want to ask them questions about them and just have a really great time. Otherwise, you could go, gosh, this is a long event, and, we really want to get home, and why are we even here? We don't even know any of these people. We'd rather be, there's just different ways to tell stories. So when there's something that we're going to do, if it's something we feel like we really get to be there to support this person, whether it's one of our kids or our in-laws or whatever it is, just friends.
What did it used to be like?
We pre-tell the story.
Before you pre-told the story? Like, what was your pattern?
You just get there and it'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you'd be unhappy and you'd be just biding your time, waiting for the clock, to tick. It'll be over and then we won't have to do this again until next year.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
So now you pre-plan, like, this is how I'm going to spend that time and make it a productive part of my life and part of the story I'm building for the life I actually want to be living.
Yeah. And how can we better serve the people that we're with,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just want someone to listen to their stories, especially older people. They don't get heard. Or younger kids, they don't get heard as well.
Yeah.
And so,
I've noticed you guys totally do that. You really make everybody feel seen and heard, and it's beautiful.
Well, it makes me feel better to be in a positive space. And then at the end, look at it and go, wow, that was really fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work or whatever. We have a lot of retreats here and we do a lot of things. And if you get into a negative space about it, like, oh, it's going to be long, or, oh, the rain, there could just be any kind of thing that could set you back into a negative thing. Well, that's when I go, oh, we got to change the story right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. And
yeah. So I love that about events, and I love that about you and Wes doing that together. You and I have talked a lot about this stage of life that we're in, and how it seems like we both know a lot of women because we both do retreats and we both are in the healing industries, and we gather together with women, and so we've seen that a lot of the women in our circle feel a lot the same way we do at this stage in life when you're aging. We have a unique situation where you and I have both been in really long-term marriages that have had a lot of ups and downs. Probably every long-term marriage has. And we have become different women than we were 30 years ago, when we got married, like probably 5 or 6 different women.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing that you and I have talked a lot about is this being in an empty nest, and also being kind of, because of the way our family cultures and just the cultures that you and I both grew up in, was just like, be a wife and be a mother, and that's a beautiful thing. We both have loved it, but it created this codependency with our husbands and with our children, that now that we're at this stage of life where we're done raising children together with our husbands, it's like you have all this time and all the space to go and be your own person, but it feels really scary, because it's like, what if the codependency, and by codependency I mean he has to be a certain way and I have to be a certain way for us to be together okay, and if he's not okay, then I'm not okay, and if my kids aren't okay, then I'm not okay. And so you're constantly just like meshed up with each other, but also going, oh, I want to be free, and your kids are going, I want to be free, and your spouses are going, I want to be free. It's so scary. So can you talk a little bit about some of the stories you told yourself before you started like trying out, just like, I'm going to go do my own thing? And I'm not talking like going and doing your own thing, like moving out of the house or whatever, although there's nothing wrong with that, but just even like, I'm going to go to dinner with some girlfriends instead of with my husband, or I'm going to go spend, you've started doing so many things, dancing, yoga, so many things. I've seen you do so many things where before you just used to do everything with West, and same with me. What has that process been like? Like what was the middle period like where you were just like, ugh?
Oh, probably when my youngest son, my second youngest son moved out, and then I had a younger son, but super independent, so he just likes to do things for himself. It's like, Mom, leave me alone. So I'm like, oh, my kids don't need me anymore. So I started to really smother West so much. And I grew up, but we got married so young, 16 and 17, and I watched my grandma and my mom do everything for their husband, like literally everything. Like West has been King West for all these years. Like I make the meals, I do all the laundry. He doesn't even know how to do the laundry. Well, he does now, but not until about 5 years ago. And that was his decision.
Yeah.
He wanted to be independent and do his own things. And he literally wanted to give me time and space to figure out who I am. But, I was like, he doesn't need me anymore.
Yeah, what does this
Instead
mean?
of feeling like, oh, I'm free.
Yeah.
I can go paint all day, which I don't know why I didn't do that, because I love to just do my own thing, now.
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of scary, but... So now we separate our laundry, and he fixes his food most of the time, or we fix it together. I don't always make it and take it to his chair on a platter. I still do that once in a while because I really love feeding people.
Yeah. And
so for me, it's not like something that I have to do for him. If I want to do it, I do it, but I don't do it every day. So that was scary, though, to be like, I can stop doing these things. I would go to my daughter's to babysit the kids. She'd ask me over, and she had something to go do. And I'd spend the whole time cleaning her house. And not playing with my grandkids.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. Because it was messy. I was trying to do something for her. And then I missed out on the time playing with her grandkids. And so now my girls invite me over, and I'm like, I'm not cleaning.
Yeah.
It's your house. You clean it. Or hire someone, because I'm here to play with the grandkids.
And they'd probably rather have you play with the grandkids, honestly,
sure.
Right?
They would.
Yeah. So it's been the same for me. Like trying to figure out with my adult kids, where do I fit? And even with my husband, where do I fit? Until they're just like, my kids have actually said, go be happy. That's what we want you to do.
Yeah,
be an example of like what we get to do at your age, and then let us be happy. And we'll let you know if we need you. And it's been the same thing with Mark. But for me, it's been scary to go, well, if I'm not doing things for everybody, then I'm not valuable in their life, and they're just going to forget about me, and I won't have a place. Was it like that for you at all?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what story did you start telling? What maybe was a progression of stories that you started telling yourself that made you start feeling comfortable? Because I think there's this middle period where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Oh, I don't think it'll ever stop. I think we're going to continually be changing stories because of how old we are and how set in ways, how many belief systems. I think our belief systems go back generations.
I do too.
So one of the first things I did, I didn't even know how long it's been, maybe around 10 years ago, I got a tattoo. And I never told anyone. I didn't ask permission from my mom or my husband. And
why is that such a big
40
deal?
years old.
Like some people will be like, big deal. I have a bunch of
I
tattoos.
know.
So why was that a big deal for you?
Because I just decided. it was like one of the first decisions I decided to do on my own without being like,
what do you think, right?
Yeah. Getting some advice from the external world. I just went internal, like, I really want one. I'm going to go get one. And then everyone, my kids and my husband, I sent them a picture. They're like, Mom, is that a press-on?
They didn't believe it?
No. And so, anyway, it was just a big moment for me. And then, again, West had a pretty big horse accident. He calls it an incident. Actually, I think he might even call it an event now, or an experience.
So did he change names of it to change the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when he was hurt, he was unable to make any decisions. I didn't know if he would even survive, and I had to make the decisions. And I never had to make a decision in my life without, my parents who raised me, and then my husband. I always consulted him about decisions. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to be a big girl right now and make the decisions. And
how old were you?
Oh my gosh.
This isn't like when you're in your 20s.
It was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
there are so many
I've just grown
of us
up
like
pretty
this. Yeah.
sheltered and safe and married for 35 years now. And so, yeah, that was a big deal. But then it was so much pressure and so much stress, like that situation. I was under a lot of pressure. I had to do it. And then I was like, wow, I can do this. And so
then did you start going, because it's the dopamine, that feels good, I want to do it again. So when you started making decisions for yourself, did that help make the next decision for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Made it easier.
Yeah.
Just be like, what if I just make this decision myself? And honestly, Wes doesn't want to be bothered by some of the things.
Yeah.
Like, what color should I paint this wall? He's like, I don't care. What makes you happy? Paint it that color. And I'll be like, oh yeah. Like, why am I bothering him with all of my chatter? He really doesn't. I mean, he cares, but he doesn't. He's like indifferent either way. He wants me to do what makes me happy. So if I was painting his horse, he might have some...
Yeah, painting his horse.
Some input.
I don't want my horse.
But the house, he doesn't really care.
Yeah. So have there been parts that have been hard about this, about you guys building this together and doing this together?
Oh, for sure. It's all been hard.
Tell me, like, if you feel
it.
comfortable, like some of the parts that have been hard that you guys have found that you actually feel good that you made it to the other side of. Like, maybe not the stuff you're in the middle of now, if you're in the middle of anything, but stuff that you're like, we made it to the other side of that. That was really amazing.
Oh, geez. Just deciding to move back to our St. George house. We have 2 houses. So we have the ranch house, which we hid out here for a while and just discovered ourselves and our passion, our purpose, him and his horse stuff, and me and my art and drum making and stuff. And we decided to go back to asking our renters to move out of the St. George house and us to take on a second property was a big deal because when we left that house. And so for us to go there, it was a lot of stress and pressure on the relationship. But we managed to make it work, and what a blessing that you guys got to move in and share that big space with us.
Blessing for us, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like, we were just talking right before we started this conversation about how when you tell a new story about what you want sometimes, and you decide I'm going to get out of this old pattern, and you think it's going to be better, but then things happen beyond your wildest dreams that you never could have even imagined. Just because you were brave enough to go, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something better or different or more aligned with me, because I've watched you do that over and over again. Like tell about going to dance. Like I've loved watching you, because it was around this time last year. We were here in this barn, and you were like, I think this winter I'm going to go back to St. George and I'm going to start a dance class.
Yeah.
And so tell about that whole process, like what it's been like and what it's actually turned into. Like, it's been fun to watch that.
Well, living here at the ranch, there's not a lot of activities to do, and especially in the winter. So when we went back to St. George, I made a list of all the things I wanted to do. Dance class was one of them. Yoga was one. So when we got there, like actually going to the dance class, I probably would have never done it, but I had put it out there to the universe. I wanted to do this. So I had a friend come into town from Oregon, of all places, and she took me to a dance class at the local gym, and I just fell in love with the dance teacher. But I was so awkward and uncomfortable, which is so weird because I've taken dance classes and aerobics and, all the things back in the day when I was younger. But I've kind of just had all these beliefs like, oh, I'm too old, I'm too chubby, I don't know the dances, like all the stories.
So that was your story, yeah.
Yeah. So I went, and we went for a whole week while she was in town. And then when she left, I was like, oh, I really love that. And it helps me stay fit and, an hour every day. And so I went back, pulled up my big girl pants and went to dance. And it was just so much fun. It took me literally 3 months to get over my stories and to go in there and just not care about any of my beliefs or my stories, and just be like, it doesn't matter if I know the moves, just move your body. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And so it's been one of the best things in my life.
And I remember another one of the stories you were telling is you wanted to have a community in St. George and not just be, you know, like you and I have each other, but both of us were like hiding out in our houses.
Right.
And so you decided like, I'm going to make friends.
Yeah.
And so what's happened because of dance?
Dance has got me a huge community of friends and
amazing people. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. Like when you changed when you changed your story and that changed your neurochemicals, it's like it opened you up for even better things to happen, you know, because you were more open, not so like contracted and feeling stress and fear. And so I want to talk about the fear, because I think it's like this for a lot of women, the mean girl thing that, starting in, because you and I both from grade school had really bad experiences with girls and being bullied and being treated not very nicely. And so that makes you write a story that women aren't safe or whatever, or I'm not safe to go out there and dance or to do anything that draws attention to myself. Yep. So how did you start to overcome that?
Well, I just decided to do it anyway. Oh, like these women aren't in my life, like, and the ones that like me for who I am, then I want those ones in my life, and the ones that are rolling their eyes and like I would never. Are not the ones that I want to be around anyways. So there was this one week I decided to say yes, like that movie, I was just like, I'm going to say yes to everything that happens this week. There was one invite I got, and I'm like, I'm going to say yes. And then I was like, I'm going to say yes to everything. So a friend from California invited me to drinks, and she had brought 2 other friends. And I have met, like, one of them was from Oregon, and she's become one of my very dearest friends. I even went to Oregon and saw her, and she comes to St. George and sees me all the time. But that yes rolled into a party and a dress-up Halloween party and all kinds of new friends, and that's where the community started. I literally met the dance teacher that night and didn't even know she was going to be my dance teacher later, like 6 months later. And so all these little pieces started falling in place just because I decided, well, I'm going to be fearful either way. Yeah. So why don't I just still say yes and go push through the fear and see what happens? And miracles happened because I just decided to be like, well.
And so, along with the relationship formula, because you changed your story and the neurochemicals changed and that changed your relationships, what else, like right now, what are you, if you feel comfortable sharing it, are there things you're trying to work through right now that you're having to change your story about right now?
Oh, for sure.
Today.
For sure.
What's something you could share that's still, because what I've found is I've been working on this, but even if you do it for like 3 days in a row, if you stop doing it, it comes back. You know what I mean? I don't know how long it takes to make it stick, but I know there's things that I had continue to have stories that don't lead to the life that I want to have. Yeah. That I have to keep pausing again. Yeah, so do you have anything like that right now that you're working through?
Those stories aren't really even true.
I know. Yeah. That's what's so funny about it.
I have a story. So a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to buy a bike because in St. George, there are trails everywhere. Yeah. And Wes was living at the ranch, and I was living in St. George. We'd go back and forth with kids in school and different things when we first went to that house. So I bought me a bike, and I went on all the trails. And it's just, like, so fun. And I got my fitness in and all of the things and felt empowered because I was doing something by myself. I got the little helmet and all the stuff. So
you loaded on the back of your car.
I've got the bike rack.
Do it. Yeah.
And it just made me feel so good to go out, and he'd just be like, I love seeing pictures of you riding your bike because you're so happy. And then we come to the ranch in the summer, and I have this huge fear of dogs. Okay. I am a dog lover. Yeah. I have dogs. But I always am afraid of other people's dogs. It's silly. So it's held me back from a lot of things, like even just visiting friends. I pull up in the driveway and this big dog comes over barking. I drive away. Or I call her on the phone, hey, I'm out here, come save me. Because it's just this weird belief. I mean, I've never even been bitten by a dog, but I've been chased by dogs, and some trauma happened when I was a little girl with dogs. And so when you ride out of here, it is like dirt roads and the country, and you could run into a cow, a horse, a bull, dogs, lots of dogs. And so last week, Wes went out running, and I'm like, oh, I'll ride my bike along with him because, he'll be with me and he can save me from the dogs. Well, I had to fix my flat tire really fast first, and so I didn't catch him before the house with the dogs.
Oh, gosh.
I had to ride past the house with the dogs by myself, and when I got home and I told him, so there were 2 houses that had dogs that I didn't know of, and the dogs just came over, barked, and then just watched me go by. Like, nothing happened.
So what did you tell yourself, like, when he went forward and you were left there?
I was like, well, I'll ride to the house with the dogs and turn around and go back.
Okay.
But then I got to the house, and I'm like, well, if I never ride past the house with the dogs, I don't know what the dogs are going to do.
Okay.
And it looked like a mean dog. His hackles were up, and he was coming, but I just kind of went to the other side of the road, and then I was like, hey, buddy, gave him a little nice voice. And then he just kind of turned around and went back in the driveway, like, oh. Because I've seen dogs chase tires.
So now, do you think you could go past that house again on the bike?
Yeah, I got to go past it every day now because I did it the one time. I just had to change the story and just push through the fear. Because, like, how many people do you know that just get bit by your neighbor's dogs? I've never even heard of any. I mean, rare cases on the news or whatever. Yeah. But, so it's just a silly story that I've been telling for a long time, which keeps me from riding my bike when I'm here.
So what did you design a new belief, design a new story about it?
For sure.
What is it?
It's just go for it and see what happens. Because, like, what is going to happen if a dog comes after me? I'm just going to, like, hop off the bike and stop and be like, dogs aren't aggressive and mean like that. They usually just want to fight with other dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, you've held yourself back from things you really, really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So it's worth it to just even try, Yeah. So if you could go back, like, 3 years and tell yourself something about, like, what you really want out of life, what would it be? Something you know now. You didn't know it then, but you know it now.
That's tough. Something that I've already done, or something I'm still working on?
Just, like, if you can look at yourself, 3 to 5 years back and all of the things that you were holding yourself back from, and you had the opportunity to, like, go back in time and give yourself a little pep talk with the things that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Well, I tell myself just to get out there and do it. Just be who I am. Because I tend to, like, stay in the background, and I let Wes shine. He really can. He loves talking to people and being on camera and all the things, and I'll let him. I'll let him do all of this stuff. But then that, a lot of times, that holds me back from my own growth.
Because you shine too.
Yeah. So when he first started filming himself, I don't even know when that was, maybe 15 years ago, making little videos, he pointed the camera at me and asked me a question, and I started to bawl.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, how afraid I was of putting myself out there, of what people might say about me or whatever. I don't know. There was just a lot of fears about it. I just didn't like it because I used to tell myself that story. I don't look good on camera. I don't want to be on camera. I don't have anything important to say. There was a lot of stories. I mean, so
you would tell yourself now, just do it.
Yeah,
right?
Just do it. Just get out there and have fun. Life is meant to be lived. And I spent a lot of years not really living life to the full potential and having a lot of fun.
I love that.
I think one of my biggest regrets...
Cry harder.
is the time that I lost with my kids, like, because I wouldn't do things like swimming. Mm-hmm. I mean, every journal I have from 16 clear up until now 50 years old, it always has these goals of weight loss, in the front. And so I'd always live like I needed to be thinner or whatever. And so I wouldn't wear a swimsuit. I wouldn't take them swimming, wouldn't go to the lake, or I'd wear shorts. I'm going to get in the water. I feel like I lost a lot of good experiences because I was worried about how I looked or what other people thought about me.
Same. Yeah, don't you just want to take the girls that are 30, 40, even 50 and go, honey, please don't.
Yeah.
Get in your swimsuit and
right.
go swim with your kids.
Yeah.
Go put on the dress and go dance with your husband. Exactly. Put on whatever you want and go take yourself out somewhere. Like, that's how I feel, too. I just am like, so all the years wasted worrying about what other people think of me, you know? And in the end, most of them probably weren't thinking anything of me, and the ones that were, I wouldn't want them in my life anyway.
Yeah.
You know? And we just hold ourselves back so much. And what I wish is, like, you didn't have to wait till you're 50 years old to learn this stuff. And that's why I love how all this new neuroscience stuff is coming out, and we're seeing that these stories that we tell ourselves are what are wiring our brains, and we think it's our personality. You know what I mean? Because you and I, you know, we've done all the personality tests and, you know, done all the horoscopes and everything like that. And all the time I'm just like, what if I don't want to be like that?
Yeah.
Like, can I change? And I've started to experiment, and I have been able to in little ways. Just go, even though my personality test says I'm like this, I can still overcome that and be whatever I want to be, right? Mm-hmm. Have you surprised yourself?
For sure.
In what ways?
Oh, geez. I think the time that I ended up buying myself a paddleboard was a big deal because, of course, I was going to have to wear a swimsuit and also go out on water and possibly by myself. And so that was a big deal because I would never spend that kind of money on myself. Yeah. You know, without asking my husband. Yeah. Weird. Yeah. I make money.
Yeah, exactly.
I can buy things if I want to. Yeah. I just didn't know I could. I didn't allow myself to do those things.
Because there was a story somewhere in there that said
that I should save or I should.
Or buy something for your kids or your husband, not for you. Yeah. Or pay off a bill or whatever. Like, definitely not anything for yourself.
And I found so much joy riding, floating on my paddleboard. Yeah. Being out in nature and
in your swimsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a blast at the lake.
Right.
I love getting in my swimsuit with you, and I don't care what I look like anymore.
Me either. Such a silly belief.
If you had a story that said it's selfish to do things for yourself, whatever, like selfish, like what's so bad about being selfish sometimes, by the way, but it's selfish for me to go do things I want to do, but I'm fine sacrificing everything in the world to make sure my children and my husband and my friends and my community gets to do whatever they want to do. If that was your story, what's your story now about doing things for yourself?
That I want to do things that make me happy and not do things that I feel like I should do or do them for other people. I want to be able to make the choice if I want to do it or not. And I want to do it being happy. Yeah. Not doing it and then begrudging later.
Yeah, not being a martyr.
Right.
Yeah, because you still serve people a lot. But what's the story now when you're serving people? That used to be like, I have to do this. I'm supposed to do this. So what is it now?
A good mom would do this.
Yeah.
The story that I have now is just that I want to do this. Or, I don't want to do this. I have other plans right now. But ask me again next week. Yeah. Be sure and still ask me again. Cause
what did that feel like the first time you said no? I remember the first time I said no. What did it feel like for you the first time you said no?
Well, I was a little bit like, oh, geez. Are they going to, be mad at me or hate me forever? Yeah. And so the fact that didn't happen, then I was like, oh, this is kind of nice.
Yeah. No. And then the second time you're like, lightning still didn't strike. Yep. They still love me.
Got a little dopamine hit. Yeah. Because I was choosing me. Yeah. And I haven't chose myself always. Yeah.
So
over the years.
How have you been able to become a better wife, mother, friend, everything because you're choosing things that you actually want and you're choosing to take care of yourself?
It just brings me more confidence and more joy, and I want to be around my people instead of, I have to, or I wanted to do this thing, and so I'm just more confident and loving, and it's nice to just get out and do things that I want to do too.
How do you feel different, like when you're going to sleep at night? Like what I've noticed is my thoughts have changed when I'm alone to they're self-respecting thoughts instead of beating myself up thoughts, right? Have yours changed too?
Yeah, especially when I do my fitness and exercise every day and get my water in that I want to drink for the day. If I don't do those two things, then at night I lay there and I'm like, oh, I didn't do it again. Because you got to do baby steps to make progress. And so
now your thoughts are what?
I just feel good about myself. I feel happy and I feel energetic, and I'm nicer to my husband. He'll be like, oh, she went exercising today and got her dopamine. He can tell.
See, and I love that it's not about body size, because I used to do everything with the motivation of a fear motivation. Like, I have to have a certain body size, so I go work out for 2 hours. And now it's more, there doesn't have anything to do with fear anymore, And yours doesn't either, does it? Like when you're going to do fitness, it's more...
No, I want to.
You're motivated by, this is going to have such a huge reward.
Yep.
And I'm so looking forward to that.
And what happens now is if I have a class and I'm supposed to be going to it and something else comes up, I literally have to think about it. Like, if I miss dance class, I'm choosing to miss, and I'm not going to be mad at myself about it. Or I get to do both and go. Because I've also created a new story saying I can have it all. So... what do I have to juggle around and move to make it work for me? You know?
I love that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Because I think at our age, we can have pretty much everything we want in some way. Yeah.
If we just believe, we can have it all. What do you want? You know, make the list, manifest it. If you're living a life you don't want to live, in some way or another, I believe that you're choosing that and living it because you really want to.
Yeah.
And so, own it.
Yeah, own it. Own it. Yeah,
do
it from a place of power.
Stay in bed and eat Cheetos and ice cream. Choose it.
I'm not.
And do it and be happy about it.
And then be happy about
it.
And
enjoy it.
And know that
you're not going to do it every single night.
Yeah.
But don't do it and then beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
Because it's one time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not how you live your whole life.
Yeah. I love that. So, I'm so grateful that you and West have done the work to create this relationship formula. So what is it why are you guys doing this? Like, what do you want for people?
Oh, wow. We want people to just be empowered and to be able to tell a new story. To be able to just see that there are other possibilities than the way that you're living. If you're unhappy, you can change your story, and it really does change your life. I mean, it hasn't been an easy road, but we were talking about this the other day. We just barely put the relationship formula down on paper a few months ago and figured it out, like the science behind it. But we've literally been doing it by watching the horses.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We've been changing our stories and not really realizing, you know, how much it was changing our lives as we went.
What have the horses taught you the most?
Oh, gosh. Oh, wow. What have they taught me the most? That's tough.
Or just anything. Like, anything you would love to share. Like, if somebody asked you, like, why horses? Why are you guys using horses in this?
Well, because with a horse, you're just watching. They don't speak to you. They don't say anything. And they aren't even, like, literally thinking because they don't have a frontal lobe. And so they're just literally reacting the way that Mother Nature, you know, taught them to. And so you can watch them be so fearful of something, literally shaking, but they do it anyway. And it's really cool to watch them do it and then to realize, wow, I didn't die. That's one of our favorite sayings. Yeah. I did it and I didn't die.
Yeah.
So I can watch horses all day long. I can watch them work with a horse and get a new epiphany, a new idea, a new story, just by, like, looking at the horse and going, that was me in this situation. And look what the horse did. So. Yeah,
and you've been at my trainings, you know, all the times when we, you know, together we've brought everybody over to your place and had everybody learn from the horses in West. What, you know, I know is it so gratifying because you fall in love with these women just like I do. You know, by the time we're there, you're already in love with all these women. What does it feel like for you to see them get so much out of what you guys are doing?
Well, we were just talking about this the other day, that I wish we would video the audience. We're always videoing West and what he's doing with the horse, but just to watch people's looks on their faces, and, you know, they're just so happy, and then they're crying, and the things that they say after, like, I just want to go home and hug my husband, you know, because they just fall in love with their own self again, because they watch what this horse went through, and they're like, that's me with my husband, or that's me with my bills, or that's, you know, the horse and the tarp is just a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. So we're going to be doing a lot of our lessons with a horse as the teacher, showing how we've learned from the horse. So that'll be really cool. Yeah. Are you excited to do this with West? Yeah. It's an interesting thing. We were talking about this earlier today, that, you know, these guys have been married even longer than us. We've been married 32 years, and you get, what, 35 now? Yeah. Yeah, 35. It's an interesting thing to raise children with, have homes with, go through sicknesses and accidents and businesses and losing businesses and everything with a person, and then work with them and live with them, and you're living in 2 different houses and working together and everything like that. What I have seen is you two are so symbiotic to the point where I don't know that
like with this, it wouldn't be the same without him. It wouldn't be the same without you. And so what excites you most about you guys putting that chemistry together and being able to teach this together?
I guess just to share our life experiences and hope that it helps other people.
Yeah.
Because this is what we do every day, and it's helped us so much, but other people don't get to do this every day. And we honestly forget that this is so magical because it's what we do every day. And then people will come over and be like, oh my gosh. And so we really just wanted to put it out there. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be vulnerable and scary and all the things. And
it's time. Right?
Like, it's totally time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm definitely nervous.
Good.
I'm like,
That'd
am I
be
going to have
weird.
to be in with a horse? And he's
so
like, no,
weird
honey, you don't have to be in with a horse.
Yeah. Just watch, right? Just watch. Yeah.
But maybe.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait to be part of it because I'm gonna really dig in and I'm gonna do the work and be a student. Can't wait to be a student of you guys. I have already been just vicariously, but just to be a student, and I want everybody I know to do this. And I know you guys are just such servant hearts, servant leaders, and so I'm excited for that for my people. So
thank you. You've been telling him for years he should do it more.
I have.
And you've been asking him, and he does it for you because he loves you so much. And so now he's like, I get to do this for more people. Because
the first time I saw it, I was like, this is life-changing for humans. I know you're helping these horses so much, and also the horses are helping you so much. That's really what it is the horses that change us.
True.
But the first second I saw it, I was like, this is an accelerated transformation. Like, things can happen by watching that and being part of that take years and years and years to happen. And it's hard to explain to people, like,
for sure,
what's going to happen, but I hope people just trust us and know that, like, whatever happens, it's going to change your life, And it's going to...
what I love about it the most, we started calling it life lessons with a horse. But what I love about it is there can be 20 people there watching it, and there'll be 20 different stories, 20 different things that people learned by watching Weston that horse that day. And even myself, like, I learned something every single time.
Yeah, and probably something different than everybody else. Yeah, that's the power of a perfect parable. That's that those horses get up there and they teach a parable. And I've seen it. I've seen 30, 40 people in tears. And you don't even know why they're all in tears. They're all in tears for a different reason.
Yeah.
Because they see themselves and their life and all their relationships and every decision they've ever made and how they're holding themselves back by watching this beautiful creature, overcome its fears and be its best, So
I'm super excited to see which horse will be the teacher for the day.
Like me too.
We've got 8 of them out there, and they're all willing and ready to teach something.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay.